I don't know how we did it, but we made it. End of October here on Sunday, Bloody Sunday, ESPN College Football YouTube channel. I am Matt Barrie. Cheers to you and yours. It is the show every week where we laugh, cry, and enjoy college football, whether your team won or lost or you were just indifferent on the day. Week 9 provided us some interesting storylines, some developing storylines. So we'll start with the first one. And I really believe it's what is happening and what has happened to college football in the new era of the portal and NIL. And I want to start there. I want to start with cheers to the Indiana Hoosiers, 8-0 for the first time since 1967. What a story Curt Cignetti is. What a story Indiana is. This is a team that, for really since 1967, from the historic start, that has waited until this time of year to switch their attention to college basketball. They just don't care. Get us out there. We'll support a team here and there. We had Antoine Randall L. We'll go have some fun. Deuces. We're going to go watch basketball. And all they've done this year is start 8-0 with a realistic opportunity to play for a college football playoff, with a realistic opportunity to play for a Big Ten championship, because they hired what appears to be the best coach in the cycle, leaving JMU. And when you really break it down, by the way, great celebration of college football yesterday on College Game Day. Lee Corso was there. It was Lee Corso Day in Bloomington. He was returning. It was a homecoming. It was just really, really what makes the sport special. You can get into all this BS that's going on in college football right now, and a lot of people do. But I think if you look at Indiana and you look at how they've taken advantage of the system, in that they brought in a coach who brought a lot of his players, that he knew what they were doing, but Cignetti took what was already there and made it contenders. And we talk about coach of the year. I mean, there are a lot of them out there, by the way. But when you look at Cignetti, Mike Elko, Deion Sanders, and some of the stuff going on around college football right now, you start there as we go into the month of October or month of November. By the way, horribly sleep deprived today. It was another long day. So the words will come out, but they might not grammatically make sense. Or I might say, as we head into October, when we're heading into November, you know what I mean? Cheers to me for gutting through week 9. But it really is a beautiful place to be in this sport. When you got a school like Indiana, I mean, Lefford, I would bet their playoff chances coming into the season were like 0.03. And here they are embarking on the final month of the regular season. And we were looking at their schedule last night in studio. And when you look at what they have left, at Michigan State, who fought Michigan hard, but Michigan came back and won. Michigan, a big game, at Ohio State and Purdue. And the way this team is playing defense, Michigan State looks like a win next weekend. Michigan, that's the swing game for them. At Ohio State, at Purdue, 11-1. I mean, you're talking about a team that needs to be considered. So cheers to our friends in Bloomington who got the spotlight yesterday in college football and earned it and won it. Congratulations, Curt Cignetti, 8-0 Indiana. Now we're talking, it's getting weird in the ACC. I want to cheers Jim Phillips in the Atlantic Coast Conference, because as we wake up today, Clemson on the bye week, 6-1, 5-0 in league. Miami, slow, methodical, physical, beat Florida State like we expected them to do. 8-0 overall, 4-0 in the league. SMU, overtime, 28-27 against Manny Diaz and Duke. And then the game where I was, Thursday night, the Pitt Panthers, 7-0 overall. First time since 1982. Dan Marino, everyone, what a story. 3-0 in league. And then here comes Virginia Tech, 5-3 overall, 3-1 in league. It is going to get so good in the final month of the season, because some of these conferences, top to bottom, are wide open. Clemson, their remaining schedule. They have Louisville, Virginia Tech, swing game, at Pitt, big game, the Citadel. And then South Carolina, the rivalry. So there's a lot in front of them. I mean, and there are so many other ways. Miami's got the easiest road to the clubhouse. They've got Duke in the Manny Diaz revenge game. Manny Diaz, head coach Duke, head coach of Miami, got fired from Mario Cristobal. Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Syracuse. That path clear. But everybody else, when you look at what's left, SMU, They have Pitt next weekend. So one of those teams is going to get bounced. BC, Virginia, Cal. If SMU gets through Pitt, they could be in the driver's seat to go play for the ACC championship because they'll be able to knock out Pitt. And then Pitt in front of them. SMU, obviously. Virginia, Clemson, Louisville, BC. I'm just telling you, when we get down to the final stretch, this is what makes the college football playoff, the new iteration of it, the 12 teams, so special. Because whereas before, you'd rather look at Virginia Tech, who I think is still in it. And I'm kind of biased because I picked them to win the ACC in the beginning of the year, so I'm kind of willing it to happen. They've got at Syracuse, Clemson, Duke, Virginia. I mean, if they sit at the end of the year 7-1 in conference, things happening in front of them, they're playing for it. Point being, though, at this time of year, there are a lot of teams that we would normally kind of slide by because of a win or a loss, or they're standing in the conference. I mean, there's teams that everybody has a shot in those top 4 teams. And so cheers to the new playoff as we embark on November. Same thing can be said for the Big 12. BYU 5-0 in league, 8-0 overall. Iowa State bye week yesterday. They're still undefeated. Kansas State snuck by Kansas yesterday. They're 7-1, 4-1 in league. The Colorado Buffaloes. Cheers, Deion Sanders. And what I love about the Deion crowd, by the way, and you know what's interesting? I was watching the broadcast last night in studio, and remember we used to call him Coach Prime, Coach Prime, Coach Prime. They were calling him on the broadcast. I'm going to do some research on this. They were calling him on the broadcast Coach Sanders a lot. Coach Sanders. I want to know if that was just what they wanted to call him, or there's been this effort to move away from Coach Prime to Coach Sanders. Whatever the hell it is, I don't care. It's working. And we talk about this with Paul Feinbaum, Matt Barrie Show, presented by Allstate and the ESPN College Football YouTube channel. Cheers to that show, by the way. We talk about it, how that's a legitimate football team and a legitimate story. And say what you want about whether you were a hater or you didn't believe. I think there was a big difference between hating on Coach Prime in Colorado and just not understanding what the method was. I was one of those that thought, and I've said it a million times on that show and on this show, that I thought Deion made it a lot about Deion. Coach Prime, me. He's stepped away from that. He's actually started to focus on the football on the field. And when you look at the results, I mean, they're going to a bowl game. They're 6-2. They have an opportunity to go play and compete for a Big 12 championship, because now it's focused on the football. And when you look at the football, Shedeur Sanders is one of the best players in the league, if not the country. Travis Hunter is the best two-way player in the country. And they started focusing on the on-the-field product and less about the off-the-field product. I get it. Year one, you want to do that. You want to make a splash. You know you don't have that really good of a team. So let's put the attention on everything but the football. But now that they're actually focusing on the on-the-field product, I mean, look at him. I can't give Deion, Coach Sanders, enough cheerses this morning, because I think it's a really, really cool opportunity for them to seize the moment. If we're being honest, what's after this year? Not much. Shedeur out. Travis Hunter out. So seize the moment with the team you have now, because they are wildly talented and in contention to win or play for a Big 12 championship, which at the beginning of the year, the real Coach Prime Sanders fans were huge on. After that, you're kind of like, eh. But here they are. And I'm glad he's making us look and eat our words, because he's been really, really fun to watch. They're focusing on the product because they're looking good doing it. The SEC. Alabama bounces back in a big way against Missouri. The Missouri story is over for the year. They came in as a team that all of us ID'd as a potential 4th, 5th, or 6th team to make the playoff from the SEC. They're out. They're done. Offense couldn't move the ball against Alabama's defense. They get the shutout yesterday. They still haven't lost consecutive games since 2007. Cheers to that. Think about that for a minute. What's the year? 2024, 17 seasons without consecutive losses. Thank you, Nick Saban. But they get the big win. Finally started running Jalen Milroe again. Alabama bounces back for the week. Looked good. Now we go to LSU and focus on them, because they enter the bye week to the LSU Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. after a loss last night. When you look at it, big picture, again, this recapped extensively, Matt Barrie Show presented by Allstate. That is one of the biggest turn of events in a game that I've seen in a long time. It was 17-7. Connor Wegman and LSU didn't really have anything going. LSU's defense was playing good enough. Wegman was struggling. There was nothing going on offense for Texas A&M. And then Garrett Nussmeier, who was rolling out to his left, threw back across his body, interception Texas A&M, enter Marcel Reed, enter energy, and now here we go. That kid came in for a few possessions. I think he had 50-something yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. Nussmeier kept throwing picks, and out of nowhere, you're like, what the hell happened? What the hell happened is Texas A&M, cheers Mike Elko, cheers Texas A&M Aggies, are on top of the SEC this morning. Who had that? A&M's lost one game, season opener, Notre Dame. Since then, they've won every single one, and they're 5-0 in the driver's seat for the SEC. And I want to point to that as my biggest point of the day. They're going to be coaching hirings and firings happening within the next 2 to 3 weeks into the offseason, the silly season. It's going to happen. It always does. And it already has in some spots. Sometimes, for the ADs, for everyone out there, the hiring committees, sometimes the right coach has medium name recognition, but big-time football recognition. You don't need to be the shiniest toy in the coaching shed. You don't have to have the biggest name. You don't have to come from the biggest school. All you have to do is know how to coach football. And maybe it works out in your benefit where the coach that you hired that knows how to coach football, that doesn't have the biggest name, has a connection to the university, which in this case, this happened with Mike Elko, who used to be a defensive coordinator there. I am so proud of Texas A&M. 16,000 cheers. Get drunk. I don't have a problem doing that in Texas. God bless Texas, by the way. What a great state. Sometimes you take a look at what's best for the program and not best for the exterior brand. Complete opposite of what Colorado had to do. They had to get some sort of energy in there, and that's why Coach Prime made sense. But in this case, they're like, you know what, Mike Elko? And he wasn't even their first choice. And this happens all the time. He wasn't even their first choice, but it's like, you know what, the guy coaches football. He's not going to come in here. He's not going to win the press conference. He's not going to do, and this isn't a slight in any other coach they've hired in the past. It's merely making the point that when the job is up, look for the best football coach. Curt Cignetti, I led the show with him. Cignetti was known at JMU because they were doing great things there, but you had to be educated on who he was, and now look at him. Everybody's going to want that guy. So to sit here and look at coaches take advantage of situations, and Elko's doing that, I think is one of the best stories in college football this year. Don't get so enamored by the name. Be enamored by the job the name does. And Mike Elko has done that. Curt Cignetti has done that. Some of these first-year coaches have had good seasons, and now Deion's doing that. Listen up. Buckle up. Buy extra Bloody Mary mix. Buy extra hot sauce. Buy extra vodka. Buy it all. Because November, on Sunday Bloody Sunday, mark it down. Save this clip. We'll come back to it. This is going to be the wildest November in college football history. And guess who will be here for every second of it? You got it. Sunday Bloody Sunday here on the ESPN YouTube channel. Cheers. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you next week when we are in November, week 10, college football season.